Resident Evil Retribution. The 5th installment of the Resident Evil movie franchise. This movie was bad, guys. There's no sugarcoating it. There's just no sugarcoating how bad this film actually is. This movie probably fails on every single level of a way a movie should be rated. I mean, every single level this movie fails on. I mean, Afterlife was bad, but, you know, after a certain point, I could enjoy Afterlife. Like, by all means, Afterlife was not a good movie, but once the clone shit was taken care of, and you got down to the actual plot of the film, I thought Afterlife was pretty good, and the fight between Alice and Wesker was fantastic at the end of Afterlife. It felt like the video game. So for that, I gave Afterlife at least, you know, an okay rating, you know. But this movie is just fucking awful. I mean, it has plot holes, bad acting, horrible special effects. I mean, where do I even start with this film? For instance, we end the 4th film, Afterlife, with Wesker being blown up by a nuclear bomb, okay? He survives a nuclear explosion. They don't explain how in this film. He just does, and we are suspected to know that he survived. No mention of Claire and Chris, where the hell they went. There was a 5-second moment where she's like, "Where's Claire? Where's Chris?" And that was it. We never got no explanation. The actor that played Leon was fucking dreadful. One, he didn't look like Leon. He was dressed like Leon from Resident Evil 4, but I mean, he didn't act like Leon. He was in the background most of the time. He wasn't as Leon should be. I mean, it was totally fucking ridiculous how they portrayed Leon in this movie. Barry Burton was a laugh. The guy was too thin, too young to play Barry. He was built, but he wasn't like he was built in the arms. He wasn't like, because Barry's like very husky type. This guy was built but slender. No. And it was the guy who played in Walking Tall. You know, one of the villains in Walking Tall. He also played in Robin Hood. I mean, no. Come on, guys. You know, and then Ada Wong was a waste of time. Jill Valentine, I don't know what the hell happened between Resident Evil Apocalypse and this film, but her acting in this film was fucking dreadful as all hell. I mean, there's scenes where she's got the gun and she's shooting, and I got flying cats behind me, and she's shooting and she's going like, it's like, instead of standing there and going like this, she's going, and then she like uses these one-liners, which is like just god-awful acting. And they go back into the clone shit again. I mean, I thought we established this at the end or in the beginning of 4. I think they try to, I mean, this film is trying to do like fucking Spider-Man's Clone Saga. The Clone Saga sucked in Amazing Spider-Man. It's almost the equivalent to this in film. You have the clones established in Extinction. They wrap it up at the beginning of Afterlife, which I was like, thank God, once we get this clone shit out of the way, this movie will be pretty good. And for the most part, Afterlife was okay after the clone shit. And then they reincorporated in this one. And basically, the story, the premise of this is the ship after Afterlife gets blown to hell. Alice ends up in a facility in Russia, Soviet Union, whatever you want to fucking call it. And it's a facility underneath. Wesker's alive. He recruits Ada Wong, Leon, Barry, and all of these people to go in, and a basketball player from Resident Evil Afterlife. How the fuck this guy's still alive is beyond me. Well, they have to go in, help her escape. They have to, it's almost like Resident Evil 1. They have to get up to the surface by a certain amount of time where everything blows up or some shit like that. I don't fucking know. Well, the thing is, under the facility, it's sort of like a test lab where it's broken up in certain levels, and they're simulated in Moscow, New York, and Raccoon City, and a bunch of fucking bullshit. And all the clones from people from previous films came back. The black guy who died in the fucking checkerboard thing in the first one came back. Rain came back. what's his name? God, I can't even think of his name. Carlos came back. That's the guy's name. Carlos came back, and it was just, and then then the Red Queen came back in this one, and it's a different simulated image than the Red Queen from Resident Evil 1 and 2, and in like every 5 seconds, this bitch is popping up on the screen.
We're going to execute you. You're all going to die down here.
We already heard it.
It's like we already heard that before, blah, blah, blah. And there's this little girl in here who is a clone, and in this reality, she's Alice's daughter, so when our Alice finds her, she saves her. And out of nowhere, Alice, from our time, like our Alice, learned sign language out of nowhere. Like, she was never taught sign language, and in one scene, in the subway tunnel, she just started doing sign language. I looked at the guy next to me, I was like, where the fuck did she learn sign language? Where the fuck did she learn it? It was like, Jesus, the special effects were horrible. The whole beginning of the movie is everything backtracking backwards in slow motion. Then the movie starts and everything goes forwards in fast motion. And it's like, every 5 seconds all you see is... They use slow motion way too much in this film. Shit, look, I mean, there was only one part of the film that I actually liked. And that's when Barry pulled out his Colt Python. You know, because for the whole movie he's using this like machine gun and automatic weapon. And then he just pulls out his Colt Python and puts in a cigar. I was like, fucking that's Barry. And then he like spoiler alert people, but then he fucking dies, and he has the funniest death in cinema history. Even funnier than Miranda Tate in Dark Knight Rises. It's like, he gets slashed by a liquor, which there's a liquor in this movie, which I thought, okay, that's great, a liquor's in the movie. That was probably the second best thing about the damn thing. And the liquor slashes him and whatever. He's fighting against Jill, Rain, and Carlos and the other guy. And they're like, you're surrounded, come out with your hands up. So he comes out like this, and they just blow his ass away, and he falls back like, ooh! And then he's sitting there, and then his eyes pops open, and his Colt Python falls from the ground, so he must have threw it up before he came out, and he grabs it, comes up, and bah, 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 shoots, right? And then they just shoot his ass again, he goes, and it was so corny and funny the way it happened. Everybody in the theater started laughing. You would swear this was like Hangover 3, because there was more people in the theater laughing than anything, and this was not supposed to be a comedy movie. That's how fucking ridiculous it is. And then you have like these zombie type creatures running on fucking tanks and motorcycles and jeeps shooting shit, and oh my god, and the man genies with their fucking that shit looks so fucking fake. It's like I was like, oh my God. I was like, you know, and at one point I actually wanted to get up and leave. But I paid the money to go see it in 3D, so I didn't want to fucking leave. But at one point I wanted to leave so bad. And then I was thinking, if anything is going to make this movie good, well, hopefully the last fight will be good. You know, because we had the great fight with Wesker. Well, there was a fight at the end, and it was pretty good. Rain injects herself with some kind of fucking parasite, and she becomes like super badass, and she's beating the shit out of Leon and the basketball player. And Jill's fighting Alice, and they're battling back and forth. And this fight's pretty good. And then, you know, it takes everything to destroy Rain. You know, of course they do, whatever. But the thing I thought was funny was, at the end of Afterlife, Alice lost all of her powers. And this one, she had no powers, but she's still doing badass shit. She's taking her chain going. I mean, she has no power. And then at the end, Wesker injects her with her powers again. Because now Wesker's like president of the United States or some shit, and fucking, like, there's hordes of zombies, alien creatures and shit heading toward the White House. This movie sucked. You guys know I hate Transformers 2, but I'd rather watch Transformers 2 any day of the year than watch this film. Any day of the year. And Paul W. or, Paul W.S. Anderson? Dude, you fucking suck. Bro, are you trying to be Uwe Boll? Because his films are better than this. Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil Apocalypse were great films. You know, a lot of people don't like Apocalypse, but I like it because it's close to the game. Resident Evil 1 was probably the best. And why can't you just keep doing shit like that? This film, I think, tried to take over the Resident Evil Underworld book, which Leon, Barry, and all them are a team, and they're going through each different levels of different simulations. I think he tried to take liberties from this book, but you failed in every aspect of filmmaking. Oh my God. If you haven't seen this film, avoid it like the plague. Really, I mean, it's that bad. I mean, you'll be surprised how much it insults your intelligence. Just by like, we don't answer shit, and we don't have to. And you have to buy that. It's like, we don't have to explain shit, but, you know, that's fine. You know, it really does assault your intelligence. Do not go see this film. If you really are that hard on going to see it, just wait to download it somewhere or watch it stream-wise on the internet. I mean, I don't recommend bootleg stuff, but when it comes to this film, if you want to see it that bad, don't pay to go see this movie. It is awful, guys. Awful. Well, that's all the time I have. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. And Tekken Tag Tournament 2 review coming up soon, guys. Until next time, I'm Storms Inc., and that's my opinion. Be